from your brain.
Oh man, it's officially going. We're in business. I don't even need to. Let's see. Let me open up the to make sure that I got my part. All right. Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome to tonight's house party. I'm Austin Antoine. This is my co-host Raul Herrera, and we are excited to catch up and enjoy the party for tonight.
Are you already drunk, Austin? What's going on here, dude?
Plastered. I've had so much already. I can't even. Yeah, I can't even sit straight.
All right, man. If you had one drink of choice
Yeah.
to drink for the rest of your life,
Ooh.
alcoholic,
Okay.
and it could be a mix or whatever, what would it be?
Um. It would be 85% water and 15% vodka. Not vodka, whiskey.
Yeah, I was like, why'd you say vodka? Well, what kind of whiskey?
Oh, ooh, okay. The whiskey that I'm a simple man.
Yeah, have you tried like expensive whiskeys?
I haven't. I actually got roasted by a homie of mine, a friend of mine the other day, because I still have like Jim Beam tendencies,
Yeah.
you know? And it's like, what, man? This is your palate should be graduating at some point. You should be able to, I don't know, you should be able to taste the refinement between two things. And I'm like, no, alcohol is alcohol. I do get the, like we were talking before about like if there's a blue label that betters your chances of feeling okay, you know?
It doesn't better your chance. It's the difference between a home cooked meal and McDonald's. Like it's literally like that.
Huh.
You know, it's I remember drinking a whole blue label bottle. Like it was like maybe a $200 bottle of whiskey. Not mine. I'm not, I don't have money to spend like that on alcohol specifically. Now other things. Anyways, so but we sat and we finished this whole thing.
Yeah.
And I felt like this, but so still in control. I wasn't loop. It was like I was relaxed. I was loopy, but I was still in control.
Yeah.
And that's it. And I woke up the next day and I was fine. That's why they make expensive stuff. Like, of course, they make expensive stuff because they want you to just waste your money.
Right.
But expensive stuff exists because it's better quality. Why do we pay for better quality? Because it increases our quality of living. You know what I mean? And that's alcohol's like that, man. And we'll get to a level where like, we can buy that stuff on a regular basis. We don't have to drink like plastic bottles anymore. But
you don't have bottles you can play basketball with.
I don't
have
have
they dribble because you can bounce them because they're plastic.
Okay, we don't have to talk about my balls on this episode, bro.
Hey man, just want to make sure you're keeping healthy. That was a checkup. So my whiskey would be Jameson. What about you?
Jameson. You know what? I have a lot of bad memories of Jameson. I can't do that, and not even because I was bad on Jameson. I feel like a lot of and I'm sorry to tell y'all, women in Jameson. The women that I've known who love Jameson are wild, really wild. So, they say tequila, they say vodka. No. Jameson and women do not mix for me. I'm just saying, for me.
Yeah. I got it, man. I would say that's me with women in White Claw.
Oh.
Where it's like as soon as that White Claw conversation comes up, I'm like, okay. I feel like White Claw is the alcohol version of kombucha. Oh my gosh, you haven't drank White Claw yet? Oh my gosh, it's like totally like White Claw. White Claw is liquid gentrification.
It sure is. It sure is, man. But I prefer White Claw over beers now.
Hey man, that was definitely a shot at you. That was a knock at you.
Hey bro, my insides have been gentrified. I am okay with that. It's because it's to be honest, follow the diets of white people. Like they because they messed up the whole diet thing in America, and that's why like poor like access to resources and stuff like that. So like
Hmm.
so they're kind of like leading the way out of the shit that they built, which is fast food, processed food, GMOs, like all that stuff.
Mm.
Um, so like White Claws, dude, like it's healthier.
Yeah, I mean, that is real. It's what. All right. What if that would be the new fusion of like dining experiences? It is figuring out ways to liven up the healthy white cuisines and like that. You know, they say in Europe they do tinier portions
Mm-hmm.
and less meat and more of this and that. So to get those cuisines, but to add like a sprinkle of like what would make
Culture.
it, yeah, just enough that it's like it doesn't lose its value, like its taste buds situation, but you're also getting the healthy stuff and not this straight up just sugar and salt concoction.
Yeah, I think the experience would be you. It's white cooks only. Okay, whites only. Okay, in the kitchen.
Okay,
Okay, and then but only people of color clients. Okay, so check me. So
let's do it.
follow me, right? And so people of color, Austin and Raul was sitting down at this table, right? And then we get brought this food, and the cooks have to bring it to us. Okay, they have to bring it to us, and they sit it down, and we eat it, and the whole time they have to stand there, and we are allowed to talk shit about whether maybe it's about the food that they made, whether it's about their ancestors, whether it's about whatever it is.
Mm.
I think that's the way to spice in. That's the only way to spice in white people food up.
Mwah. We get to be Gordon Ramsay of. Mm. That's yeah. That would be. Hey man, I'd be down to have that experience.
It'd be fun. They have similar things like in Chicago. They have that hot dog truck where like the people who make the hot dogs, they just talk shit. They just like tell you like, oh, what do you want, you ugly motherfucker? Da, 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 da. Like they harass you, and that's part of the
Yeah.
experience. But it'd be cool if you had like people who were like the food makers, and you were just like, I guess that's just regular restaurants because people
Yeah.
talk shit about the to the servers, to the cooks, to the managers. But like this would be specifically
Yeah.
white cooks.
Would it be called? It'll be called white cooks or white privilege.
The restaurant's called, what would be the restaurant called? Off White Privilege? I don't know. Um, I don't
Ooh,
know.
ooh. Come to
Think
this
about
all
it.
white experience, and yeah, and then the tips would all of their only payment is tips, and the rest of the money goes to like to a cause. It goes
Do
to like,
reparations, bro. That's you rep. Come, you just.
ooh, ooh, yo, I'm liking this restaurant more and more. This is kind of a dope restaurant, man.
Hey
Uh,
man, if I'd be surprised if it isn't made yet.
that would be we take some white friends there to come eat and be like, oh, you're gonna love this place. And
You're
they'll be like,
gonna
I feel
love it.
uncomfortable. Oh, I don't. Here, try this.
Yeah,
It's terrible. I'm gonna have it taken back.
yeah. Like finally, you feel uncomfortable, and I feel
Uh,
comfortable. Come on.
a shift in space. You know
That's
what?
right.
Oh my goodness, this is okay. So I've been thinking about this a lot. I got so much ammo today, man. I've been thinking about a lot of random things.
Let's do it.
Um, I was talking with someone, and they were getting me hip to things involving queer culture. They're getting me hip to things involving New York culture. They're getting me hip to like to different frames of identity, pretty much. Where it's like, if you're a part of this community and this culture, here's things that you need to know, and here's etiquette, and here's the thing that every New Yorker can't go without, and here's this and that, and it makes me wonder, like, if the world is a big lunchroom, if the world is a big cafeteria. Oh, in the vein of a restaurant, if the world was a big cafeteria, is there a certain table that I want to go to? Because I know there's a lot of tables that people usually want to go to be accepted by. As soon as somebody figures out, I've had friends that do that. As soon as they discover in full their blackness, then they're kente clothed out. They're like, yo, you don't understand. The autobiography of Malcolm X is the best thing ever. I might have just read it for the first time yesterday, but I love it. It's the best. And it's like, all right, cool. This is your cultural identity now. And you're getting me hip on Wakanda. Then like, all right, that's what's up. But do you have a specific culture that you identify with? Or are you more like I can go to any table and I'm Raul?
Any table, man. That's exactly how it was in high school.
Yeah.
Um, I would just kind of walk around, and if it was these kind of people, then I was with them. If it was these kind of people, I was them. I even stood inside some classes as well, just because there's teachers that I hung out with students, teachers, coaches. Like it didn't really matter. To me, it just kind of I always got stuck as because you go to a group and there's like magic, almost like a cipher. Imagine there's all these different ciphers
Yeah.
right happening, and you go to one cipher and you're like, yeah. Oh, did I do something? No. You go to this one cipher and it's beautiful and it's like, oh yeah. But you can sense when a cipher is dying, or at
Yeah.
least when you don't have anything to add to the cipher.
Yeah.
And then you move on. Or maybe you stay there because that's the only cipher. But since at school there's so many different quote unquote cipher tables, I would
Yeah.
just hop around when I got bored of one, or when I like felt like this was enough of my experience here, I'd go
Yeah.
somewhere else. So I've always been like that. I've never been, to a particular tribe. I'm more of a nomad in that sense.
Um. Hmm.
What
I
about you?
I think that I've been more towards. I think that I've naturally existed as a table hopper, for going from cipher to cipher, and I'm wondering if that's. I think it's gonna be. I think it's beneficial in the long run, but I think it would be really cool to just have like my own table and to know what my table is like. You know, uh, I don't know, man. Like it would be so dope to go to a Austin's Table Parade. I think that's what like shows are. I think that's what when people, if people ever come to an event of mine or whenever I'm performing, when I'm the focal point, I immediately make that shit my table. You know, everybody has to accommodate to my table.
Well, yeah, the stage is the table for us, for sure. I agree.
Yeah.
And that's just art. That's what art is able to do. It helps you understand your own voice, and then when your voice is put in such an artistic way and you put so much time into it, of course, like you're gonna, it's gonna make other people comfortable, and that comfort becomes seats that people want to come to and sit on.
Mm,
So
yeah.
um,
Well, wait. So here's a perfect example of table conflict. So
table.
let's see, a black person does something sexist. Oh, you know the rapper Chief Keef?
I know Chief Keef.
Uh, Katy Perry. It was a while ago. Katy Perry said something that was like, I can't believe that there's a song. I don't know. I can't believe there's a song that's about Pop and Molly and certain things. What the hell are these kids up to? And then it was a Chief Keef lyric that she said, and Chief Keef responded, Katy Perry can suck the skin off my dick. And and then Katy Perry immediately responded, oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Keef. I didn't know that was you. I'm a huge fan of your work. And it was that. And he was like, oh, okay, well, I'm sorry too then. My bad, I guess. But it was an interesting split because on one side you have this young inner city black youth at the time, he was like 16, 17, saying something that, wild to a white woman. And this woman is, I don't know if that's considered like a threat, an instant. What is that type of remark to tell somebody? I couldn't tell a female coworker that, because that's beyond impolite. That's I don't know what that is. Is it sex? What is it? Is it sexist? Is it like what? That's an insult, right?
Of course it's an insult, but like that's it could be all of those things. But this is a person who is responding who, and you got to think about race in this, responding to like a white woman who's also like very famous and platformed, like has a huge platform, talking shit about some lyrics, you know, and Chief Keef is a person who's, I think, very authentic into what he, you know, what he does and what he's about, what his music represents. And so like
Mhm.
on like, as white people would say, is that's on brand, you know what I'm saying? And so it could be all of
Okay.
those things, you know, it could be all those things, but he's just responding, he's just being real with her, you know.
Word.
And
So, what does a what does a minority female that's a fan of both, like before the conflict gets resolved, what is a minority female that's a fan of both? What's the side that gets taken?
well, the thing about this, Austin, you're asking me to speak for a woman, speak for a person of color woman. That one that I just, I'm not a person, I'm not a woman who's a person of color, you know. And so
You don't sit at
what
that
I,
table.
she's what?
I said you don't sit at that table.
It's not that I don't sit at that table. Is I can't. I may imagine I'm at the table with them. I can't be like, hey, what does that person next to you say? You should ask them. You know what I mean? But
Mm.
but but so then you have to take all those kind of identities out of it, or at least those markers of identity out of it. What would a person do if they have two people that they really love, mom and dad, or two artists that they really love?
Mm.
Like, what do? They got to figure that out. Like, who do you like more? If Do you even care that these two people are fighting? Because like that's also celebrities. Why should we care? But if it means that other people are affected and influenced by this,
Yeah.
oh, I'm gonna whenever someone speaks to me like that, I'm just gonna tell them suck my dick. You know what I mean? Like that,
Yeah.
maybe that, and then it trains them. So it's up to them. Some people might think it's funny. Some people might think it's rude, but that's ultimately up to them to how they interpret that.
I
I
thought it
feel you.
was because I thought it was funny, but I also was like, that's not how you handle confrontation, man. Like, not
But
with a
also
woman.
Katy Perry, like what? Katy, why is she? Look at
Right. She doesn't
I'm
need
I'm
him.
exactly. I'm reading this on I'm looking at the Twitter things. Katy Perry on Twitter says just heard a new song on the radio called "I Hate Being Sober." Now I have a serious doubt for the world. In which Almighty So, aka Chief Keef, responds, "That's bitch Katy Perry can suck skin off my dick." Then he tweets again, "I'll smack the shit out her."
Yo.
Um, and then in Katy Perry responds, "Mr. Keith," he says, "Mr. Keith in this tweet, I'm sorry if I offended you. I heard a lot of people guesting on the song, and I didn't even know it was you in particular. Actually, I'm a fan of your Don't Like video, to be honest. I was really just having a general opinion on our generation's desire to be constantly intoxicated." And I think he responds to that saying, "New song Katy Perry coming soon."
He did put out an apology. Um, but even that, even to say I'm a fan of your song, don't like, that's weird. Cause that's a song, a music video with all of these young dudes holding up assault rifles and machine guns and stuff, aiming it at the camera. And yeah, I don't know. I like the song, but I feel weird. I wouldn't want Katy Perry to be the one to show it to me.
Yeah, but there's also this whole dynamic of like huge artists know what goes behind videos, creativity, whether that or authenticity, like, you know, call it what you want to call it, but nonetheless, that took a whole
Hmm.
team to create that video. And Katy Perry knows a lot about that because she's herself created a lot of those videos. So, and I hear that a lot amongst artists across genres because they all
Yeah.
have the similar language of production, of creativity, and of message branding, you know, in their videos. So they all know that.
Word. It's understanding the. Okay. Okay. So, well, I'm sitting with it. I'm sitting with it. So then that is genuine conflict resolution then taking place. Not a pandery thing, but a genuine like, no, I for real appreciate your work. I just I the content of what I heard without knowing it was connected to you sat with me in a certain way. You know, why can't
It's
you?
hard. It's hard. Is this Katy Perry's publicist writing this? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Is this they're afraid that they may receive backlash from fans of Chief Keef? Is it there's this
cut
whole
out for
play
like a
into,
word.
if you could hear me, there's this whole play into, is she afraid because Chief Keef, quote unquote, is a gangster, is from wherever he's from, is she now afraid that maybe he's gonna like be violent towards her? And that's a whole more in depth of like, oh, is this another white lady who's over hyperbolizing, black men and them being violent? There's so many of these things, and so
Yeah,
I, who knows, only she does. All we know is that she's a fan of this video,
yeah,
and she apologized, you know
word. What? All right. Trying to figure out, am I more? Is the interest in being more universal or being authentic to like nah, I don't do like the authentic to it. Nah, we don't do that around here, type of a thing. You know, like part of my table is nah, I'm good. That's just not something that I do at my table. Like there's an example of a black Muslim comedian. Uh, she's pretty funny, and I mean, yeah, of course she's supposed to be. She's a comedian, I get, but she said that she did this thing where she was like, "Yeah, I opt out of feminism," and like she was killing it. All of her jokes were landing, and then she said, "I also opt out of feminism," and the applause stopped. And then she was like, "All right, how many people in this audience are feminists?" And then you heard like scattered clapping, and then it was like, "How many people aren't?" And then nobody clapped. And she was like, "Oh, I get it. I get it. It's an awkward thing. Nobody wants to be bad, or nobody wants to, you know, it's probably people in here that aren't, but you want to clap because you don't want to, like, if I don't clap, then that means that I'm obviously the bad guy and all that." And she was like, "Here's my thing. I'm on a crazy uphill battle already. So I'm climbing two mountains. So I climb up the first mountain, which is the black experience. And I'm climbing up to it, finally get to the top of this mountain, or I'm still hoping to get to the top of this mountain. And if I ever do get to the top of this mountain of finally seeing my victory in the black experience, and I catch my breath, now I have to deal with the Muslim experience in America. So I got to go through all and then climb up a whole new mountain and get to the top of that. And then for me to get to the top of that mountain, to also speak about feminism, it just seems like, all right, I think I have a lot of climbing that I'm already doing. And then she made an interesting point about it where she was like, based on the amount of climbing that I have to do versus the amount of climbing that the feminist is gonna have to do is very different. The people that, and she was like, the people that do agree with me are ones that probably don't give enough care about a woman's plight, and it's understandable for certain situations. And the people that don't agree with me are probably white women. And it was like, oh, that's wild. But that was her limit. That was her thing. That was her, like, it's like I'm doing enough, you know? And is I don't know, you following the train of thought?
kind of. I'm understanding the facts in the story.
Mm-hmm.
But that's her, that's what she wants to do and what she doesn't want to do, and I think a lot of people, because of their skin color, they think they have to think a certain way. Because of where they're from, they have to think a certain way. Because of what
That's
they believe in religiously, they have to think a certain way.
so
um
that's what the question is I don't know what my thing is, because I think I've been so interested in inclusivity that I also do want to take the time to sit down with myself and be like, all right, what are some things that you could say, nah, I'm chilling on? What are some things that it's like, No, this isn't me being an ignorant person. This is me having my own. This is me having dignity. This is me having my own set of things that I'm trying to work for towards my interests. You know, if I want to be in a relationship with somebody and that person's like, word, well, I'm so glad we get along and we connect and all these things. Also, I'm polyamorous. And then I'm like, oh, okay, I'm out. Whoa, why are you out? I thought we were in love. I thought we connected. Yes, we do, but that's like a deal breaker. I don't want to date somebody that's involved with other people. So that's my standards. That's my dignity for myself. It has nothing to do with the how dope you are and how our Venn diagram works, but my Venn diagram stretches only to a certain point.
Yeah, I think a lot of ideas are get a lot of bad rap because people don't know how to properly communicate um the idea, and or the type of, like, a type of person can ruin a bad communicator can ruin a good idea. And so with
Mm.
this idea of this polyamorous person, like, 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 they're gonna be like, oh, why, why aren't you more open to it? I think if someone who's polyamorous should be very considerate and understanding if their partner doesn't want to believe or doesn't want to do that, because you know it's something that you believe in, but you can't put your beliefs on someone else. So if I were to tell somebody like, oh, I'm in a polyamorous relationship, I mean, hey, I love you, you love me, I'm in a polyamorous relationship, I mean, I want a polyamorous relationship. Hold on, how come you're barely telling me this right now? That's not fair. That's not fair. Two, if you ask me to be in a polyamorous relationship with you and I say no, and you don't respect that, that's a reflection of you as a bad person, not a reflection of people who are polyamorous. You know what I mean? Like, so, like, that's, they're great people. If you communicate with your partner efficiently, then that's fine. And if someone says no, you should be understanding of that. Just like if I ask you, hey, I want to do anal, and you say no, I can't be like, oh, I thought you loved me. You know what I mean? Like, it's, you can't.
You don't love me anymore?
You don't love me? Come on.
Yo, that's huh, huh.
It's how you communicate it, man. I think people get so hung up. Like, we just have bad communicators, dude. 100%. Like, people get so mad, like, in conflict. All this conflict is not because a lot of the time, it's not because the idea is bad. It's because the people who are saying them are doing such a bad job at talking about them, and or people are doing such a bad job at accepting that people don't like your idea. Like, that's, oh,
Right,
cool. You have an idea, tight. I don't want to be a part of it. But no, 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 trust me, dude. I don't want to be a part of it. And
right,
then that's that.
right. I almost dated somebody. Oh, well, not almost dated. I had
You used
a
to fuck somebody.
romantic connection with
Okay.
someone. Dating will require us being in proximity with each other, and we
Mm,
live in different states. But I had a romantic connection with someone that was of the queer community. I think she still is, but she is now specifically interested in just pursuing men. So, yeah, but we were talking about something, and then she was like, on behalf of my community, that's wild, and this is wild, and I feel like it represents the movement so negatively. And I'm like, oh, word, why? And we broke it down and started talking. And I was like, if we were to date, would you still be queer? And she was like, I mean, yeah. Like it was, she was trying to explain it, but it was like, I mean, yeah, like I would, because of my history, I still have a queer past. I've still been with so many. I've been with different people, but like, uh, I would be in a monogamous relationship with the heterosexual male, and with the cisgendered male, and and I would want our relationship to work for the comfortability of my partner. So if you'd want me to just say that I'm straight, we can do that. But I have a queer past, and I don't know. I don't. I don't. Yeah, I don't even know how that would end up coming up in communication. Hey, everybody, meet my girlfriend. That's what's up. Oh, correction. Hey, everybody, meet my queer girlfriend. Like, no, it wouldn't matter. Like, just meet my girlfriend.
Well, that's with anything. It's. Are you gonna announce all of their other identities? Here's my brown girlfriend. Here's my black girlfriend. Here's my Mexican girl. Like you're not gonna. You're just gonna
Okay.
say girlfriend, whatever that label is. You know what I mean? Like it's yeah. Unless they specifically ask. Like, but no one does that. Even if you're in a queer relationship, you
Mhm.
don't ever like. If say you and I in a relationship, I wouldn't be like, hey, here's my queer boyfriend. Like no, you would just like this. Here's my dude. You know what I'm saying? And so
Word.
even people in that community don't introduce at least introduce their partner with the identifying marker um in front of their name or in front of their girlfriend or boyfriend or spouse or partner label.
This has nothing to do with. So, huh? So then why even? Well, I guess because she has pride in that, or as she is a part of that community. So if something, okay, if men were to do something crazy, and I was hanging out in a group of women, I, as the resident male, would have to be like, oh yeah, men do crazy shit sometimes, and I'm sorry. That's on behalf of men, my bad. That's wild. That being said, I'm more than just a man. I am also all of these other things. Yeah, I'm more than just defined by my genitals. I'm also like, uh, uh, at identity value. I'm also black. I'm also straight. I'm also I don't know, like all of these things. And then on top of that, I'm a talented person. I'm all that, and I'm Austin. I'm fucking Austin. So yes. So one portion of the one ingredient is I do have man. That's part of it. Also, all these other components. Um, so yeah, I don't know where this is going. Aside
I
from
miss I miss arguing with people. With me listening to you, I just miss arguing with people, man. Because like it's so fun for me. Because most of my arguments start from people being rude. You know,
yeah,
if someone has a disagreement with, I oftentimes have great conversations with people who disagree with me. Great conversations. Now,
those yeah,
people who are not stubborn, but who would like putting other people down, who are like putting making people right, like or making themselves right, like
mhm,
that's where that's like that. I
yeah,
love arguing with them. And so in this case of like if you're in a group of all women and they're all just talking shit about men,
yeah,
if it doesn't apply to me, I don't care. Yeah, sorry. And they asked, like, well, what do you think as a dude? I was like, well, from my experience as a person, as a human being, Raul, like
yeah.
I know that some people. I'll just say it honestly. Like, yeah, I know a couple of homies who are like that. Oh, and you're okay with that? I've had conversations with them, and I can't change what they do, and they're like, oh, so you just what's what they say? So you just let them do it, or you? There's a word that I'm looking for. It's almost like because you ignore it, you believe in it or you accept it. You know what I'm saying?
Kind of. You
Tolerate it, so you tolerate it or whatever it is.
complicit.
You're complicit, right?
Yeah.
And it'd be like, no, I don't believe that. I refrain from that. Like, and if you want to have an open conversation of how
Mhm.
one would interact in that or react in that kind of situation, or you can
Yeah.
stop talking to them. Well, I don't have positive information or facts about whatever it is, like.
Right.
And so if I was ever in a group like that, like I literally it's like, okay, like you cannot tell me anything. 'Cause I'm the only person who knows my life and what I think. If you try to
Right.
accuse me for thinking a certain way, I'm gonna correct you. And that's that.
Man, I'm on a different side of the spectrum with that though. Because like if somebody were to, I do that now with rappers. I know that I'm a rapper. I know that I love freestyling because whenever somebody tries to talk with me about the magic of freestyle, I can treat it like magicians treat magic. And I can be like, oh no, I know
Mm-hmm.
how that trick works. I can tell you if you want to know how he saw the lady in half. I can tell you
Mm-hmm.
how, if you want to know how they did the this and the that. Like those techniques I get because I'm that much into freestyling. And I think the
Yeah.
same applies for like me being a freestyler in a room of non-freestylers. Same for me being a man or in a room of Well, yeah, a man in a room full of women. But because then there's that situation where, oh man, why are all men like this, and why do all men are such? And it's like, well, I'm one of those, and I'm not like that. So on behalf of the home team, there's a little difference. Like, it's not the only thing. I'm down to ride for the home team.
Yeah. I think I don't focus on it. I think that's great, dude. And if you stand to hold to that, then do it. Like that's tight. I think that's there's a lot, and it's. I think some people may be afraid to bat for the home team, especially if the home team has such a stigma on it, such as men. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? But I'm like people who have similar experiences as me tend to be men, and and I ride or die for like people that I care about, and I care about women and men obviously, but I get the home team analogy. Also too, if someone's just like, well, men this and men that and men this, or and I'm not trying to like a stereotype like feminists or people talking shit about men, but it could be like, oh, these kind of people this or these
Yeah,
kind of people that. I'd be like, oh, what was your experience? Tell me your story. And
yeah,
oftentimes they'd be like, well, there's this dude. I'd be like, okay, cool. Like, I would love to listen. Let me tell me your story. And that's what they're really saying. When they say all men or this or all poets or this or all rappers like this, they had one or two experiences that now they don't, because obviously they haven't met all men. Obviously they
yeah,
haven't met all rappers, all
yeah,
poets.
yeah,
So it's because someone hurt them, and instead of just focusing on the individual, they put it on the whole group, and now it's a group guilt. And so that's I just identify the individual story, and then I'd be like, oh, okay, tight. Well, that's what you did, and that's as a dude, that's probably why he did this, or he's this. It's just easier to navigate it when you put the spotlight on them as opposed to you defending yourself. Hey, I don't,
okay,
and there shouldn't be a defense defending anything. Hey, if you accuse me of something, I'm not gonna. If you accuse people who are part of my social group of something,
mm-hmm.
and you use me as a scapegoat, I'm
Yeah,
not going to get defensive, nor am I gonna be offensive to you. I'm
yeah,
just gonna be like, hey, what is your specific story? And oftentimes you can find a lot of conflict resolution in that.
yo, okay, so I do, because there is a point to that too, where as yeah, I like it when people are able to ride for the home team but not be defined by the home team.
Get it, man.
And like I have find it very weird, the quote unquote apologetic white guy, you know, the white guy that's so, oh yeah, white people are bad and evil, and oh yeah, white people, I'm so sorry, oh white people are just, oh white people. And I'm like, come on man, I was just asking for directions. Like, you don't gotta apologize to me 20 times. Yeah, I just want to let you in. I feel bad about, like, that's so wild, where it almost worries me when somebody is unable to ride for the home team, because it's like, if you're so fair weather about a potential part of your identity, then how do I know how well you can handle authenticity, um, when I would want to rely on you,
Mhm.
when you're in a position to be relied upon, you know?
And it just depends on the person's white guilt and where it's coming from. Is it white guilt so they don't get found out that they actually don't have any white guilt and they actually have white pride?
Mm.
Is it white guilt because they really do truly want to be helpful and be an ally? It's a white guilt because someone just beat it over their head over and over again and now they're insecure. Like there's different types of white guilt, or at least there's white guilt and it affects people differently. And so I've even met people I've met people who happen to be white who had, suffered from this case of white guilt. And I love doing it because I know people crack like this. I'm like, hey bro, you don't feel bad, bro? Like if I was you, I wouldn't feel bad. Like Latino, like, hey, I think Latinos, da, 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 and I kind of like, I'm just evil like that though.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah, yeah,
they're like, that's what I thought. That's what I thought. I'm like, yeah, right. And like, yeah, and I'm like,
yeah,
I knew it because a lot of people just they it's a face, right? Like, hey,
yeah,
I look like, and then they go home and they're like, oh yeah, supreme race, like,
yeah.
so and so you
Man,
really don't know people's true faces, man. But
that's okay. So that's where the entry comes. The true face, like there's I think there's so much Yeah, yeah. I know a white dude that he is like has been mushed into submission, where uh he lives in like a he was out here and was not progressive at all when he came out here. You
Hmm.
know, the baseball going, hockey going,
Yeah.
um, you know, I don't know, this that type of a. He was a bro,
Stereotypical white, like,
sports
yeah,
fan
gotcha.
dude.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and we kicked it, and I don't know, maybe like one of his first friends, but where our connection was over beer. It wasn't over any form of identity. Oh, and women, beer and women.
Mm.
Um, so didn't have much in common, but I taught him how to freestyle, and yeah, that was actually about it. And then as time continued to progress, we'd kick it, and then he would introduce me to his friends. I might have been a token for him, to be honest. And then slowly he like incorporated more friends of other races and stuff. But then he went back to his hometown, and now he's the look at this guy, look at this softy up here saying, hey, don't talk about black people like that. What's gotten into you? What the hell is wrong? And he's like, no, guys, it doesn't work that way. That's not cool. um, but he's dating a very progressive woman in his hometown, one of the few that he could find. And he's like, I don't know, man, I'm scared I'm gonna crack one day. I'm like, crack? What do you mean? He's like, I don't know. I feel like I'm just one day something's gonna like she's gonna correct me on something simple. And I'm just get out my face, get out my face. I don't want to talk about this anymore. I don't give a shit
Yeah.
about pronouns. I don't like. He's just ready to just pop. And my question is, why don't you communicate that right now, as opposed to letting this thing get to a boiling point? Why
Mm.
don't you communicate it in a way that's like, I'm still growing because I want this. If you still want to simply put, if you still want to have this romance to consistently get laid and stuff, then you're gonna have to adjust. Or you can wait till this big blow up point and then be this person that's lost all this progress that you've been making since I've began to know you. Because the person that I met initially is far more progressive than the person that uh, no, the person that you are now is far more progressive than the person that I met initially. So I don't know, man. I say keep progressing, and part of it is voicing your learning curve or whatever. The fact that like there's some things that don't cross your path. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does, and it's less it's progressing, not as being progressive, but progressing as in growing as an individual to like get better at like communicating your thoughts and your feelings and being honest with your partner. Like, that's if it wasn't for the progression or like him being progressive, like he would have found it's it's a reflection of the character, not as opposed to the to the idea, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he's gonna pop off not because of white guilt. He's gonna pop off because this person does not know how to communicate a feeling of shame or know how to communicate a feeling of guilt. Doesn't matter
Okay.
what color the guilt is. It's
Yeah.
if you don't know how to communicate guilt, it's gonna be a problem.
So he doesn't. That's a very good clarification. He doesn't feel guilty. Um, his girlfriend does, and feels so guilty that she's overcorrecting and imposing overcorrection.
Yeah, and that's a reflection of her being of her character, not as like so for her like maybe, and this is me totally, but I just think I know, like
Fuck
maybe
it. Yeah, man.
this is an insecure girl, or and this want to be accepted. And so sometimes in order to feel accepted, people really shit on themselves in order to be like, oh, like, am I cool now? Like that's why people haze in sororities and fraternities. Like,
Yeah.
oh, like, abuse me, I deserve
Whoa.
it, just let me be a part of community, you know
Yeah. Yo. Okay. So, holy shit. So the people that are like super submitting to white guilt,
it's
would you say
abuse.
they're accepting like hazing? They're like, oh, is this if I do this enough, will things be okay? Will things not be, what is it? Are white people not a problem anymore if I submit, because that's what. Hey man, I don't want to get too dark, but like I've been oddly confused recently by the idea of an interracial relationship with a white person, just a white person. And I've had my share of white women. I've
Get it,
had my
man.
share of,
Get it, man.
of romances and everything, but I don't. I also don't move from a space that uh, I watch too many Disney movies where it's like, man, maybe I can accept an individual, maybe I can accept the person for who they are, but there's this thing of like Malcolm X said, black people and white people. He said the black man and the white man will never be able to get along because for that to happen, the white man would need to sit down at the table with the black man and admit everything that he's done ever wrong to the black man and without reservation, and the black man will have to accept and receive that fully without harboring negativity, and both would be able to have to walk away from the table shaking hands man to man and be okay. And until that moment can happen, true integration will never be a real thing. And I think that I don't know what the opposite of white guilt is. Like when I see a white person, and if I were to see a white person and say, "Man, look at white people in again." Like if a white person does that, that's white guilt. But if a person that's a minority does it, that's like acknowledging a truth. I don't know the word for it, but does that make sense?
Um, I I don't know.
Hey
The
man,
first thing that comes to my head is
it's a
like
long-winded.
white shaming. You know,
Why I
so
say
like I don't know.
hazing? Yeah,
Yeah, white hazing.
yeah, getting the hazing out. And I don't know. It's not because I don't think that love can exist amongst races. That's not the case at all. I think that's beautiful. I think that how can you build a relationship off of a hierarchy of hazing?
Well, that's just a person. You know, like it depends on the person. Like if
Okay.
they're a person who are used to like who likes being hazed, you know, or likes
Hmm.
feeling guilty or who revels in that, you probably don't want to be in a relationship with a person like that. And hopefully you're smart enough because then you could also be dumb too and
Hmm.
not see those signs or not care about those signs or not care about the person enough to be like, "Hey, why are you feeling this way?" And let's talk it out. Like it's not like that's of course, like if you're in a relationship with someone who likes that haze, like how do you operate in it? Like you choose to or you choose not to, and you figure it out. You know.
I think
Um.
that's yeah. I think you put it in a better way. It's not a racial component as much as it's like a hazing hierarchy component where if I date somebody and she's like, I can't stand Taurus men. Taurus men are terrible. And I wake up and I'm brushing my teeth. Yeah, I just checked the news today. Did you see what men did? Did you see what men did today? That's men.
Yeah.
Most of them were Tauruses. And it's like, okay, I still love you. Oh, I love you too. I totally love you. I also can't stand men. Men are terrible. Men are the worst. I love you though.
Oh yeah, you just gotta shut up on those ones, and like later, because it's like you're because then you hang and you know what those type of people really love men. They really love men,
Huh.
but we know, you know.
Yeah,
So, but
yeah.
you can't argue with that because that's not logic. That's delusion. You know, it's
Okay.
delusion. Sometimes it's delusion and all that stuff. So I just be quiet, and then what I do, and I test the character of this person. I do something similar. I go, dude, I hate these kind of people, right?
Yeah.
And I see what they say and how they react. And this is me being petty, obviously. This is
Uh-huh.
pettiness for those of you listening. And so if they react like, I can't believe you're saying that, da, 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 they're not, I'm like, okay, but what about when you talk about men? And that's a petty conversation. That's a petty argument. Nothing's gonna get solved.
Ooh.
Nothing, but I will tell you now, nothing will be solved by that. Now, will you get
Yeah.
a little bit of satisfaction when you first say, well, you do that when this? That's probably the best feeling you'll have for 1 second, and then the rest
Yeah.
of it, you're just like, why did I do that? Why did I do that?
I
Yep.
think yeah. So that's the from the start of our conversation. That's the big thing is knowing your limit, knowing the things that you don't have time for at your table. That thing where after a certain point, I have a bias. I don't know what it is yet. But I would love to figure it out, but I have been I have been pretty progressive at like trying to make sure that I'm understanding of other people's biases. You know, if I were in a room like of women, that example, or if I was in a room of non-black people, um, or yeah, of white people or something, it's like there is an inherent bias because they got a home team to ride for, and that's what's up. Um, but after a certain point, I got to respect the home team that I want to ride for as well. You know, I don't know what team it is, but I want to find that. The polyamory. Well, I'm into monogamy, so that's my home team. So if you're able to,
Find a balance, a compromise, something like that. It'll
yeah,
work. Yeah.
word, cool. I have I have one more thing. Time is flying, so I'm not gonna hold you too much longer. Um, oh man. Uh, I kicked it with Carlos the other day. Yeah,
Okay.
and you came up quite a bit. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
So we are. Oh, what did you think of the trailer? The summertime trailer.
It was great. I wish I was in it more, but I know why I wasn't in it more.
That's real.
Um, and I thought it was cool. I thought it was cool. I'm trying to think. I think it makes the movie look better. I do think that.
Oh.
I think it does look like. I think it makes people like. It doesn't trick people, but it's like, oh, that looks tight. Like that's not exactly. It's a. I don't want to. It looks great. It's a
Yeah.
good trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I I thoroughly I enjoyed it. I liked
Mhm.
it. I mean,
I
yeah.
did too.
I got to be in it quite a bit, so I think that's cool.
I think it's awesome, dude. I'm surprised you haven't posted it on your channel, fool. Stop being ridiculous.
Oh man, yeah. I haven't been. You know, me and social media have a it's whatever. But anyway, I got to talking with Carlos about this mad creative stuff, and I don't know. I'm not gonna say
Start with a
anything.
D.
D. No.
Okay, go ahead.
But what would it start with the D? Anyway, I don't
Don't
know.
worry
I'll
about it.
figure it out. But we're talking a little bit, and then when we got to talking, I got to talking about things like, does jealousy exist? Do you ever experience jealousy as a creative? Do you ever feel do you ever experience insecurities? Do you ever experience these things? And he was with this lady, and I had a bit to sip on, so I was darting all over the place with how my conversation was going. I would start off one point and they'd be like, "Oh, by the way, have you listened to this band?" But another thing too, like, "Oh, guys, this is and also," and then eventually everything that I would say would end up coming out with it. I would have a statement that would be like, "Yeah, because I think this, but I'm pretty sure Raul thinks that," and then I think this, but I'm pretty sure Raul thinks that, and then after a while, Carlos was like, "Yo, I have to just kick it with you and Raul and hear y'all talk, because if y'all have such similarly differing views,
Ah,
like it's wild. How does this connection work?" And his lady was like, "Yeah, I don't get it. Y'all sound like you would argue all the time, but you don't." Like, I'm like, "Yeah, no, it's weird." So we gotta he's down to kick it this week if you're on board.
oh, of course.
Hell yeah. Um, but that being said, yeah, there would be moments you weren't even there and you were there. It was crazy.
Uh,
Where his lady would be like, what's this Raul guy like?" And Carlos, "Oh man, Raul, he's such a personality, he's such an energy, and oh, and don't forget that he's also totally that too." And it's like, I ain't come here to talk about Raul. I came here to talk about my shit. I came here to talk about my shit, and he's still somehow found a place at the table. That's fucking crazy. That's crazy. Yeah, exactly. So that was cool. Um, yeah, are you excited for this movie to come out officially?
I am. I am. Just so people. Oh, honestly, I want to get. I just want everyone to just see my scene. and
Yeah.
and then my imagination says that someone's gonna see it and be like, oh my god, this guy's the most amazing thing ever. I can't believe we found him before. And then I'm rich and famous like this. They see it, and then automatically all their money in their bank account just goes to my bank account, and then I'm done, and then I'm just good. I mean, people are just like, I don't even know why he's famous, but he deserves to be famous. And then I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, been
That's
trying to
exactly.
tell y'all. But I am excited for it. For more legit reasons, legitimate reasons. I'm excited to like have that experience for my family and my friends, and kind of show people what I've been working on, or something that I worked on in the last couple of years. So it'll be cool. It'll be super super cool.
Whew.
I'm really
Last
excited about it. Are
couple
you excited about it?
years.
Mm-hmm.
That was over a year and a half ago, man.
Crazy.
Actually, longer than that. From like we just went straight based off of the writing process. That's
Mm-hmm.
like almost 2 years ago.
Yep.
Damn. Okay.
Are
The
you excited
last
for it?
thing. What's up?
You excited for it?
Um. No. Not because I think the product is bad. I'm. I have. I don't know. I get excited by very specific things, and this isn't flicking the switch. I don't feel that amusement park excitement about it. I feel
Mm-hmm.
that like oh, I got a candy bar excitement. This will
How
be good.
dare
This is gonna
you?
be
How
cool.
dare you? This is a fucking movie, and you treat it like
Yeah.
a candy bar, bro. You gotta find the amusement park in it, cause to
Yeah.
flick a switch on and off, that's your finger. You decide that. But I get what
Hmm.
you mean.
Yeah. That was a word. That was going to be the last question. I want. Yeah. I'll talk to you later about it. I want a thing, and it was dope. But did you see Chappelle's most recent thing? He just came out with something like 2 days ago. It
Yeah, no,
wasn't.
no, no, no. Don't tell me. Don't tell me. I watched a little bit of it. It's a story. It's a story. What is it called? Is it called Forgiveness or Forgiven or
Redemption song.
Redemption Song? God.
Right there.
I watched a little bit of it, and then I kind of stopped because he's getting really and I'm sorry to tell you, 'cause I love Dave. He's getting really comfortable in a certain like cadence and style. Like I've always loved him because he seems so like organic and live, but you can kind of tell he feels himself hard.
Hmm.
And I that's fine in an artist for me, but it's distracting. This
Yeah.
one is. He just knows like, oh, you know when you're talking about someone and they know they're deep.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
that's exactly what it is. Now, what they're saying is deep, 100%. But
Yeah.
I can tell they know, and that takes away the magic of it all. Because you almost,
Yeah.
especially with comedians, you want it like they're having a conversation with you. But with someone who knows they're deep, that's not a conversation. It's a
Mhm. Ego
yo,
stroke.
boom. So
Um.
for that reason, that's why I didn't finish it.
You're good. It definitely resonated with me.
Mm,
There's a thing. Well, cause I think there's a. He said when a hero stumbles, uh, cowards cheer the loudest.
mm,
There's no better day for a coward than when a hero stumbles.
there you
And then it was another thing that he said that really hit. That was like, it's wild, and this adds to your ego point. But he was like, it's wild. There are some people, um, they, there are some cowards that will critique because they'll never get the chance to experience greatness.
go. Mm-hmm.
And it's like something about that thing where it's like, I know I identify with that. That's what I connect with, because, but no, like we had talked before, I am very open to talking with people about certain things to the point that sometimes it affects me. It affects my understanding of my own value. Wait, am I doing this right? Wait, am I good enough? Wait, am I this or that? And it's like I'm having these conversations with people that have no clue how to even do a portion of all the talents that I have. So that should be that should be my barrier. That should be my cutoff test at the table. That should be where my conversation ends at the table, where I lose. I don't know what the term is. My bias. I got to start having more of a
Mm,
me bias and less
mm,
of a bias and being less open to even interpret what somebody has to say.
yeah.
because it's like,
There,
yeah,
there you
because
go. You can listen to people, but you don't have to interpret what they're saying. Just listen.
yeah. It's like, oh, okay, cool. You clearly
Cool,
don't know.
dope.
Hmm?
Go ahead. I'm just saying. Yeah. Yes. Go ahead.
Yeah, because it's like you clearly don't have to well, because your their goal is to try to communicate on a similar plane that I'm on, and with similar things that I do, and it's like, nah, we're having two very different conversations. You're Why don't you just rap better? And it's like, oh, okay, I see what you're attempting to say. There's something that I've done before that you're connected with, and you want me to do something more like that. And I'm trying to experiment with this. Yeah, but don't experiment with that because I don't like that. I like you better is this. And it's like, huh? Well, thanks for the feedback. Thanks for the feedback. There's times
Yeah,
that shit
but
will definitely get to me though. It interferes with my writing process now, where I'll sit down and, man, you're so good. You should just be able to crank out some shit. Well, I'm not. So yeah, the stuff that I usually am not usually. Uh, my process is different than others, but when I communicate with creatives about my process, when I talk with you about a fairy tales, when I'm talking with you about how I want to do the closing song, and you're hearing the cadences and you're understanding how things are going, and you're helping me find out different pinpoints, that's dope. But when I'm talking with someone at ground zero,
mm,
and they're just like, yeah, I just think you should sing more. You should sing more about paper cuts. Because I got a paper cut once and I thought that would have been a catchy jingle. So you should do that. I can't write a song, but I know you can. So write the song that I wish that I could write, as opposed to be your own songwriter.
yeah. I love those people, man. I think they're funny. And my favorite thing is if they ever say like be like if someone ever told me rap better or write better,
Yeah.
I'd be like, oh, you know what? You're right. I should, huh? And I'll say that, and then I'll and because I'm judgmental as shit. I'll just turn on them. You know what I think you should do better? I think you should stop cheating on your girlfriend better. Like that's what I think. And then I'll literally say that. I'll
Yeah.
just literally. I'm like, yeah, huh? Like we should both get better. Let's do it. You know what I mean?
Yo.
And that'll be that. And then I probably won't talk again. But that's and then they'll call me later. Hey, bro, my bad. But oh, it's cool, dude.
Yeah.
I won't say my bad because you know,
You started it. That's like you pushed the button.
yeah.
You know. That's
And
so
I'm
you're
also
offended. Not a you know not offended, but that was a button pushed.
I guess, and you know what? A button is pushed, but a nerve isn't hit. You know what I mean? Like I'm
Hmm.
just the bus. You got this reaction. This reaction is just like, hey, like it's the reaction doesn't affect how I view myself. The reaction affects how I view you. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
it's I'm not my feathers aren't ruffled. I'm just like, oh, tight. Like I'm just gonna all that energy, that type of energy. I'm gonna reflect it back to you,
Hmm.
and so I don't keep any of it, and that's that, and I let it go. I go by, and I'm also I like being mischievous, and so I'm also it feels good. Like I finally got to say this thing that I was judging you on. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
yeah,
It was
it
in
feels
case
good.
of emergency, break the glass, and you broke the glass.
And
Thank
I
you.
wanted to break that glass so bad. It wasn't even like emergency. Oh my god, if something's going wrong, no, please, something go wrong. I want to push the
Oh
button.
God, man.
That's me.
Yo, yeah. So this will be the last thing.
I got you.
You cool. I did this competition. I collaborated on this competition where we were
Mm-hmm.
supposed to make a rap song involving video games, and it was for this app, and uh, it was mad vague, just 1 minute rap song, video games, make the visuals and the song as high quality or as low quality as you want. And I told the person I was doing the visuals, I was like, I'm doing this thing for us to get either first or second place. That was already my fuck up. It was already my fuck up because I said first or second.
Mm.
But I went in blank concept. I had a day. The contest had been running for like 2.5 weeks or something. I did it in like 6 hours. But I was like, all right, what's gonna win? What's a rap that nobody's gonna be able what's a rap approach that nobody's gonna be able to outdo? And I wrote, looked at it, revised, punched up, revised, tried again, performed, revised, and I was like, I got it. It hits all of the things. The flow is on point. every other bar is a bar. It sticks with the concept. It's, oh man, this is gonna be fire. And um, sent it over. My homie made the visuals, and the visuals were really cool. Uh, and we sent it in, and I was like, yeah, first to second place, as long as we get that. And didn't even look at the competition. Didn't need to study them. I already know I can walk into a freestyle room and nobody's gonna, um, yeah, for the most part, nobody's gonna get in my head. There's a couple people that will, but
Yep.
I can walk into with a blank canvas. I can walk to a performance-based blank canvas and know that I got this. So they streamed the thing. We got second place. And the fact that I even had my mind set on the fact that second place was an option, that was already
Killed you, yeah.
the fuck up. But the person that got first place, uh, they they visually did something that was more palatable. So it wasn't that, and I accept the L. I'll accept the second place because they did go a step above with how they handled the whole concept. They did something that was visually doper, and they made the song slightly songier. It was a catchier song than the one that I did. And a friend was like, "Man, I'm sorry. They only won because of the visuals because they made an animation and I don't know how to animate." And it's like, no, it's not that. There's a lot of components and there's things that we can punch up so that if another thing happens next time, we know ways of doing it, and we don't even got to bite their concept. We can still do the same style that we just did, but I just need to add a little more detail on my side, and there's a couple more details you can throw in on yours. And he's like, "Why are you not mad?" And it's like, "Because it was a genuine L. I'm genuinely accepting it because that's just, yeah, I got to take it because I know that I'm good enough. I know that I'm better than my competition. So next time, let me show it. It has nothing to do with harboring anything. And I'm great, man. I'm fucking great." That was a long-winded way of saying that, but yeah.
I'm glad you finally realized that. Tight. I'm glad.
Word,
Because
man.
sometimes, you forget a little bit.
It's a wonky process. It's a very wonky process.
I agree, man.
Word. So, Raul, what is it that you are great? What is it that you're grateful for that you're great at?
I'm I'm great at being me, bro. That's always that's it's so that's true. When people say like I love being me, like I don't think they understand that quote because I love me being me more than I love me so much that I hate it. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm grateful for myself, and I'm grateful that I know who I is, and that's my answer.
Yeah. I'm I'm grateful for my curiosity. I'm grateful that I'm constantly curious and wanting
Mm-hmm.
growth,
I agree.
and I think that keeps the journey going a lot further. That my curiosity drives me far more than my ego.
Mm. You know
But I
what? If
want
you're
to, well,
go
oh
ahead.
yeah. So, and I would like to continue to grow my ego so that it doesn't, so that my curiosity doesn't. I want to balance it out so that I'm not more curious and then like, oh, maybe I'm not good enough because my curiosity says
Mm,
this. Nah, I wanted to be like, I'm curious at this thing. I'm capable of this thing. I'm more than qualified to do this thing. So let's go and do this thing that I'm curious about.
I think that's a good thing to be grateful for, bro. Like grateful means you're full of great, man. I'll tell you that, and that's the way we end it.
Uh, all right. Thank you for tuning into tonight's house party. I hope you've had an opportunity to come and chill, watch, and kick it with us. This is a space for rejuvenation and good times in the times of craziness and civil unrest and all of all this wildness. Glad that you could join us. Tune in with us next week. We do this once a week.